All right, Jacob, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we met at Coffee and Chill maybe like 2 3 weeks ago, and we were talking fitness. I was like, dude, you're huge. So that was kind of the intro, and then fast forward a couple weeks. Now here we are. So I'm excited to get to know you. You want to tell us a little bit about who you are and your background to kind of set the precedence for the rest of the podcast?
For sure. Yeah, let's get started. I mean, right off the bat, first generation American, born and raised in Chicago. Well, born in Chicago, raised out in the suburbs. Got to make sure that's everybody knows that.
Wait, north side or south side?
North side.
North side, all right.
North side. Yeah.
Cubs or White Sox?
Cubs, if it's a crosstown classic. Otherwise, I'm rooting for every Chicago team.
Okay.
Cubs, Sox, Bulls,
I hear you.
Blackhawks, Bears.
That's actually interesting. I agree. Yeah.
Chicago, Sky, too. Everybody.
That's the female basketball team, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know the NBA is having a big push as far as like creating higher salaries and kind of developing that business, right? Because I think it was losing millions and millions of dollars, and they're trying to switch that around. I know like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have been in the headlines, and I think they're doing a really good job and push towards that personal branding, which is attracting so much viewership. So it's interesting to kind of watch that unfold as that happens. It's interesting you brought that up.
Yeah, 100%. I think last year, the Chicago Sky, or it was last year or 2 years ago, where they were in the playoffs, and it was when all of this was kind of making news and making headlines and just trying to raise more awareness towards female sports, women's basketball in particular.
Yeah.
And you had just bigger turnouts at the stadiums. You had like all the men's basketball players coming out to support their Chicago team, and I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
That's awesome. Good for them. Good for them. Okay, so you're Chicago, like all the Chicago teams, which is great. A little bit more?
Yeah, so I mean, always been an active guy, active kid growing up, really when I had no choice, but parents were like, hey, it's summer, we're signing you up for all these different activities you're going to do. And then it wasn't until like high school, like middle school, high school, when I really got into lifting, physical fitness, started playing football, played football all the way throughout my part of my third year of college, went into sports management, thinking I was, not thinking that I was, who knows what could still happen, but wanting to be a sports agent and working with athletes on the business side. Later come to find I still had a huge passion for the strength and conditioning and performance side. So I had an opportunity of being now in the health and wellness industry for the last 8 years.
Okay.
8 years. Yeah.
Cool, man. Lots to unpack there. So now what clientele are you currently working with in training?
Sure. So right now, for at least these last 10 years, the majority of my clients have been C-suite execs, entrepreneurs, business individuals.
Business individuals. Got it. I think that is going to tie in well with this audience here, right? Because a lot of the people that follow me or in my audience are kind of into that business entrepreneurship, majority of them real estate. So right now you're taking people that need to get fit or want to get fit, have accountability, whatever the case may be, training them and just increasing their health all across the board. Do you do like workouts with them? Do you do the nutrition stuff as well? Could you dive a little bit deeper into kind of that process so that they have an understanding of who you're helping and all those things?
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I'd label myself as like a performance coach because I'm taking the performance and I'm breaking it down in 3 categories where there's the movement component, there's the nutrition component, and there's the lifestyle component. So everything from like sleep, stress management, like all of these things play a role. And at first it may sound overwhelming. It's like, holy crap, like what am I signing up for? Well,
sure.
First things first, it's like, let's sit down, let's talk, let's see where you are, let's see what you want and what you need. That way I can at least help curate and guide you towards making sure that you're, performing at your best, whatever that may look like.
Sure.
And especially with like the individuals that I'm working with, it's, you're traveling a lot, you're making big executive business decisions. At some capacity, we want to make sure that you're able to continue to do that right now and later on in the future so you can continue to do what you love, which is
Make money.
make money.
And there's such an interesting tie between like your physical fitness and just like working out daily and how that ties into finances and creating wealth on the back end. Because I feel like I don't know what, you probably know more about that connection than I do, for example, but I just know that if you work out, if your body's in shape, like you typically have a better day, make better decisions, and ultimately make more money.
Yeah. I mean, you summarized it to make it sound so easy.
Of course. It's not, yeah.
It's not. It's one of those things where it takes time. Like I've worked with individuals where in the first, they already have whatever it can be, like their experience with like how aware they are about like their lifestyle and the things they're doing, what they've been training, how they've been training already, to where it's like, okay, like we're doing X, Y, and Z. You know, we're seeing like how confident you feel in executing all of this. And it's like 6 months, boom. Like, great, we've hit these certain health benchmarks already. And you've already noticed a difference in it's like how your clothes feel, how you're able to, stay focused and energized in like certain meetings that you've been lagging on throughout the day. But now it's like, oh, I'm still locked in. Right? And I'm not going off of fumes of just like my 8th cup of coffee and, taking what are they called? Like a knick-knack or a Zyn.
Yeah.
Like,
or nicotine gum, like I have in my mouth right now.
Nicotine gum. It's like, yeah, it's just making certain adjustments to curb all these different substitutes and just, get the best out of you.
Interesting. Okay. So I feel like one thing that a lot of those people have a problem with or a hurdle with, and I want you to talk a little bit more about that, right, is finding the time. I think a lot of people are like, oh, like I wake up and I just start working right away and I can't commit 2 hours to working out and showering and all those things. And I have kids at home. I got to get them to school, like whatever the case may be, right? Everybody has their own scenario. But what are you finding that these people are struggling with most?
Well, going back to like what you just talked about, probably see my smirk come up when you said finding time. I'm like, everybody's got to make time. We've got 24 hours in a day. And I think, what's worked well for me with a lot of my clients is breaking things down into like, even if it's just like a laid out Excel doc of like, okay, we got 24 hours in the day based on like what your lifestyle and your routine and what work looks like. These are the spots that are currently blocked out, right? We're not adding an additional hour into 24 hours. You can't do that.
100%.
We want to make sure that at some capacity we're aiming for this much sleep every night. Granted, like things come up, we get it. Want to make sure that you're fueling yourself with the right nutrition. And we want to make sure that you're carving out at least some time throughout the week for some exercise. Now it's like, here are all the things you're doing great. Here are some of the areas of opportunity that you could work on. Here are my top 2 recommendations that can get the ball rolling right now. What do you feel like you're ready to do?
Interesting. Okay. You kind of curtail the plan to them, it sounds like, and what they're comfortable with and where they want to go. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, because and I feel like I don't know what I want to call it. I had a thought and I made a tweet, and it was something around like you can use your AIs and your chat GPTs all you want, but at the end of the day, you still got to show up and do it.
Sure. Let's talk about this. Can we talk about this?
Sure.
Can we talk about lipo and Ozempic and kind of all those cheating things? Not cheating might be the right term, it might not be, but basically people are looking for any way to get healthy without actually putting in the work and going to the gym like you just mentioned. Ozempic right now has been massive. Now, I was gone in military training for 6 months, got out 2 months ago, and I feel like while I was gone, this Ozempic thing just kind of came on and like sprung up in the middle of kind of everybody. And I know a lot of people that are taking it actually. And I don't think it's healthy. And I am very interested to hear and see the side effects and the long-term effects. But these people are just taking shortcuts.
Good question.
Yeah.
First thing that that comes to mind is how you said cheating. I don't want to call it that just yet. And trust me, like there's things where like throughout my past where I'm like, oh, like that's cheating. Why would you do that? To some capacity, there are individuals that like certain individuals in the population that would benefit from being on things like Ozempic, because it was meant for individuals that were pre-type 2 diabetic, to help them lose weight, to help them make sure that, to prevent them becoming a diabetic. At some capacity, I think there are individuals that have taken advantage of that who weren't there but just wanted it for a weight loss fix. And, just to kind of pop the bubble, and so it's going to help you. There's certain hormones that it's regulating to make you feel satiated, so you're not as hungry throughout the day. And lo and behold, you're not eating as much, and lo and behold, there's less calories that you're consuming. So, whoa, all of a sudden you're losing weight. Now, to that point, kind of like I broke down how we go about working with clients, is there are habits that you've had that have gotten you into this position, right? Could be a good position, could be a bad position, could be a good habit, could be a bad habit.
I always think it's hilarious when the super heavy people, let's call them fat people, come. They're like, oh, I've done this with my diet, I've done this and I've done this, and I haven't lost any weight. I'm like, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to me and everybody else. You're probably smacking 12 bags of M&Ms at midnight as a snack.
I mean,
it's like so I'm just like, coming out of the military, you get measured for fat, body mass index, all that stuff. And there's like this thing called fat camp, right?
In the military?
In the military. Like, if you're too heavy and overweight, they'll send you to fat camp. And basically your whole entire time there is losing weight in order to meet the standards of the military. And then from there you go to military, to basic training.
Okay.
So it's basically fat camp, basic training, AIT, right? You can't get into basic if you're overweight. So they take away all distractions. They put you in kind of a controlled environment and pay you. The pay is very minimal. But a lot of these people, like, you can't bring any food into the barracks, for example. Some people do, but if you get caught, you get in trouble. So like it like takes away that bad snacking habit late at night or whatever the case may be, and it kind of forces you to lose weight. There's a gentleman that I was in with. He lost 60 pounds. Yeah, he lost 60 pounds in like a month.
Wow.
Crazy. Well, they have us running and doing all these exercises and stuff, right?
15 pounds a week.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
He was huge. He was like 6'6". I don't even know what his weight was, but so we have rucksacks on, right? And those rucks weigh like 40 pounds. So I'm sitting there thinking, and dude, we loved this guy. Like, we kind of like all supported him, and we like made sure that he finished the runs and got through. Like, it was cool. It was just a cool environment because he was a good guy too. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's so interesting. But anyways, 40-pound rucksack. I have this on my back. We're walking, I don't know, 12 miles at the time, whatever the case was. And I'm like, damn, this guy lost a rucksack and a half. 60 pounds. I imagine that on my body, like carrying that around every day, bro. It's like, like, good for you, good for him. Like, I'm so happy he lost it. But that was something that I just wanted to bring up, is like, it was an interesting thing since we're talking about overweight people and just health in general and kind of those things.
So I'd, dive deeper into that, right? Because there was the individuals that you mentioned that aren't in the military, that aren't in fat camp, but are having trouble losing weight. And there's a few things that you just talked about with this guy who lost 60 pounds. And the first thing that I look at is the environment that the individual's in, and also kind of the social setting and the individuals that they interact with, right? Like you just mentioned, we were there supporting him. We were hyping him up. We were making sure that we were keeping accountable. That is such an important piece to it. If you're going out with friends and you have a goal of like, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to moderate my drinking, but you have those individuals that are like, no, take that drink. Come on, order this, order that, give me another one. You have a choice to make. Stay the same and allow that social environment to continue to curate what's already been, and nothing's going to change. You can have that conversation with your buddies and figure out if they're truly your buddies and they respect your goal, and determine your next steps from there. And then the environment piece too, like you've got like in this case you were saying the military, there was a specific not a division, but
area for overweight people.
They were having an incentive to get paid. because at the end of the day too, it's like you're serving your country and we want to put you in the best position to not lose a limb or your life when you're, let's say you do get, is dispatched, deployed onto wherever it is you're getting deployed to. So it's for your best interest and to make sure that we're not just.
And when these overweight people like that go through the military too, the drill sergeants are taught to pay them more attention, right? Like they make them do more push-ups and more stuff. And like you mentioned, that environment is so important, and having those supportive people around you and removing yourself from bad situations, like removing yourself from the M&Ms at midnight. Like he can't eat M&Ms at midnight like he used to every single night. Mm-hmm. Like, of course he's going to lose weight, right? So like these overweight people that are like, oh, hey, I'm doing everything I can with my freaking diet. You're lying to yourself, and then me, like you're still over. Like, there's certain circumstances, right? But like, don't lie to yourself. Basically, like that's not helping you. You're not putting yourself in the right situation. Like, try to figure that out. Secondarily, what I wanted to mention is a lot of the time, friends won't even be good enough friends to mention, hey, you're overweight, like fix yourself, or like let's fix you together. Like a lot of people will just kind of, I feel like, sit there and accept that, which is interesting because I think all friends, to be considered a good friend, needs to be very truthful with their friend group. I have stuff that like my friends would probably call out about me, right? It's like everybody has their thing that they're not good at, and you should be very aware of that. I think that makes you such a better person. Right. So it's like, it brings up that interesting aspect. Like if I have a heavy friend or a fat friend, like I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to try to motivate them to become healthier because I care about them. Like I think that true care is kind of calling out those things like that and helping with accountability.
Yeah. No, I mean, well said.
So I don't know how we kind of got into that tangent, but I just.
Yeah. Your environment, your social, and I've recently gotten back into church.
There you go, man.
And it was one of those powerful moments where the pastor is talking about, we were covering the book of Samson and dating Delilah and lust and, falling. And he was making the example of let's just say like an example of someone saying like, like I'm fighting the temptations. I'm fighting it, like, especially down here in Miami, like I'm fighting the temptations of like, that girl that's talking to me while they're in a relationship, or like going out to get those drinks when I know I need to get to bed early. And he was just like, you don't got to fight it if you don't put yourself in that situation to begin with.
Bro, 100%.
So it's like those M&Ms, you can make the decision not to pick them. Find a different substitute.
Don't even bring them in the house.
Don't bring them in the
house.
Dude,
okay,
exactly.
So this brings up an interesting. So I lived with my grandma from the age of 14, which was 9th grade, all the way through high school, right? She would buy cookies, cakes, all these things. I would throw them out. Like, she didn't buy them for her, right? Like, anything she bought for her was great, but I said, do not bring this in the house. And there was a point to my senior year of football, I hate soda, right? I haven't had a soda, I'm not even kidding, in, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, whatever. And senior year of high school, for football, no sugar at all whatsoever, right? Like that was just something that I wanted to do. A lot of my friends did it. Like we were just trying to stay healthy. We didn't drink during the football season either. We would sit downstairs and play video games. I quit drinking just about a year ago. I'll never drink another drop of alcohol in my life. My mother has attributed a lot of her success in life to not drinking alcohol. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, never took a drink of alcohol. So I think a lot of people let the unhealthy decisions compound, right? And that's how it happens, is it compounds. And then as you get older, it's like, damn, I should have been making better decisions when I was younger. But the only thing you don't get back in life is time. Can't go back, can't change those decisions. They've compounded, and you've made all these unhealthy choices, and it's kind of leading to this struggle, I guess. And what I like to say is a healthy man, let me get this quote right. A healthy man wants a million things. An unhealthy man wants one thing. And what I mean by that is if you're sick or unhealthy, think about this. Back when you were younger and you're throwing up, you have the flu and you're throwing up, constantly throwing up, laying in bed. What's going through your head? It's misery. It's pain. Man, I wish I felt good. It's not, oh, I want this Ferrari, or oh, I want this massive mansion, or oh, I want this. Like, scratch that. Scratch that. If you get cancer, I've never had cancer, but I'm assuming the only thing you want is to be healthy. Like, it's crazy. So I think it's very important that people kind of take the necessary steps prior to things getting out of control. And yes, that's hard because everybody loves to live in the moment. Everybody likes to get that instant gratification, but like, invest in your future. And as tough as it is, particularly in today's market, which we can talk about food as well, right? Like all the crazy stuff that they're putting in our food. Have you been to Europe?
Of course.
All right. Way different food situation, way more restrictions, way more regulation, right? Yeah. And over here, it's kind of like, let's make these motherfuckers as fat as possible. So interesting. So many different places we could go. Do you have any takes on any of that stuff?
I mean, in regards to nutrition, like I'm very grateful for a few things. One being my mom, with us growing up and understanding, no matter if we were bitching and complaining, going like, we'd walk down the aisle of like candy and chips, she'd be like, no, we're not getting this, right? Not having those things at the house, and the food she was making, the soups and the dinners and all of it. Shout out, Mom. I love you for that.
Shout out to all the great moms there.
All the great moms out there, seriously. And then also that, because again, like that's years of, I didn't have a choice here because I was living under their roof, but subconsciously how that's tailored into
the good decisions you make.
The good decisions I make today and what I do now, and consciously, going down a certain aisle and picking the proteins that and again, I'm also grateful to be in a position where I can choose certain organic foods or things that cost a little bit more.
Dude, and not a lot of people can afford it.
I know.
Particularly in Miami.
100%.
People can't even make their rent payment.
Seriously. That's a whole nother thing. But all in all, when it comes to nutrition, I would always lean on the side of, if you've got the ability to make a decision between something that's less processed versus more processed, lean towards the less processed foods. Find your favorite types of proteins and try to get those in daily, on a weekly basis. Eat your damn veggies.
You think eat the veggies. So put
them into soups, whatever it may be.
What do you think about like Joe Rogan, for example, doing an all meat diet? How do you feel about strictly meat diets?
To preface, I've never done one myself. There are individuals who have, like Joe, who have the resources to get the blood tests, to get the doctors, to make sure that everything from a vital component to blood panel component, like everything is running at full steam ahead. So it's like, hey, if you feel great and you're healthy and you're not at risk for different types of metabolic, cardiovascular diseases, whatever it may be. Okay. Now to say, there's this whole, someone said it really well and it just stuck with me. There's the whole difference between outcomes and intentions. There's a lot of individuals that push their good intentions around a certain diet. Probably noticed this is my first time, how long we were in? 25 minutes that I've said the word diet. I've been saying nutrition because diets, there's usually some elimination component and a certain extreme that you're taking with what you're allowing yourself to eat and not allowing yourself to eat. And their intentions may be good, but it's not a copy and paste situation. Just like the people that I work with. If everyone was the same, I would be saving so much more time, but it takes time to understand like who the person is across from you and understanding what are the more optimal approaches to take around like what's going in your body versus just like oh, you need to lose some weight? Here, we're going to go carnivore diet. Just make sure you're drinking enough water, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. No, it doesn't work like that.
That's the one thing AI is going to struggle with, getting that individualization down pat. But yeah, I mean, 100%, man. It's like, that's interesting, because I think one thing that a lot of what I see successful people that, like, at a very high level, they just need something to focus on, right? So I think sometimes they just like focus on a diet or having this certain way of eating, not because it's like, and I might be talking, I'm not 100% sure, but just sitting back and observing, it's like they just need something to focus on, right? And they need a commitment, right? And one really easy and awesome thing to commit to, maybe easy isn't the right word, but it's like your diet. I don't know exactly where I'm trying to go with this thought, but it's like people get bored sometimes and you need something to commit to. So sometimes they'll just swap a diet in there, or maybe it's like a meat only or veggie only, just for commitment, satisfaction, and all of those things.
Sure.
Now, this brings me to a good point. Fasting. I want to hear your opinion on fasting. I have fasted for 3-4 days, like cold turkey, like nothing. Felt great afterwards. My mind's buzzing. I'm like in a state of lack. So I'm like, I feel very, like I'm getting things done. I feel very motivated. And I think it's great to clean yourself out like that. But it also happens when I get bored, right? I've been doing real estate for 7-8 years, just like you've been doing this for 7-8 years. And sometimes when you do the same thing, show a house, do all that stuff, you just get bored. So then I found myself digging into other things, like how can I make my life a little bit more challenging? Or how can I make this commitment in a small win to make myself feel good? And a lot of the times I find myself turning to maybe like a fast, for example, which I think I had this realization. I haven't fasted since I got back from the military, but it was probably 8-9 months ago. And I sat there and, like, just while I was thinking, I was like, man, why the hell am I fasting right now? I was like, I'm just bored. Like, I'm literally just bored, and I want a small win, a small commitment, and something to mix up my everyday life. I don't know. Interesting. What's your take on fasting and that process?
Yes. Before, I just want to bookmark it so you remember it too, but the small wins. So we'll dive in. I want to talk about the small wins too, because I think that's a huge piece. The fasting component, I use it myself. There are individuals who I work with who depend, and this is one of those things where it's depending if they're already individuals that tend to miss breakfast and have their meals scheduled later throughout the day for whatever reason.
I never eat breakfast.
I don't know how you do it. No, I'm kidding. I've been personally, I've also been fasting myself a few mornings.
Dude, I don't even think, I just wake up and I work. Like I just wake
really?
up. Bro, nothing. The only thing, I go make a coffee, good or bad, whatever you want to take it. I don't care. It's what helps me get up in the morning. Like,
that's the thing. It's like, is it bad? Is it good?
Dude, it motivates me to get up early as shit.
There you go.
That's it. If like
you're waking up and it's like, I can't wait to have that coffee and sit down and just go.
And I don't know if it's the coffee, the caffeine. Yes, I get it's a drug. Yes, I get it's addictive, all those things. Or if it's just the simple process of looking forward to that. I don't know. I haven't deciphered that in my life. And I think a lot of people are uncertain about that. But it's like, dude, I make that and then I just work. Boom. Mm-hmm. Interesting. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off. So,
No. To some point, like you have this one thing that you look forward to because that also just gets you ramped up and ready to grind and stay focused.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, especially now, individuals get kind of.
You have to wake up and journal. You have
and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then I can start working.
Yeah, there's 15 steps before you actually start to do the thing that makes you money. It's like, God damn it!
I got caught up in that. I'm definitely have gotten caught up in that too. And it was one of those things like, hold on, get your shit, step out, go to your workspace, and just do it.
One thing that I've found for me is that if people don't need me, then I can kind of get lost in that process. But if I wake up and people are like asking me questions, like needing me to do something, relying on me, not a thought crosses my mind about writing a journal or writing down my goals. Like, I know my goals. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing and what I want and how I'm going to get there and all those things, right? Mm-hmm. But when people need me, Like if they have a question about a property, bro, like no problem. Like I'm just going right into that. And have you had that experience when people like need your services, for example, and they're like, hey, like I need to get in shape, or like, hey, like help me with this? I don't know.
The certain automation components I think can definitely help me on that end, because I personally have a strong kind of boundary of time that I'm working through, to where it's like between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. I'm all yours. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then there's that time that I need to myself too.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a significant other?
No.
Okay.
One day.
Hey, dating in Miami ain't no easy game, and thankfully I haven't had to do it, but we've been talking about that a lot on the podcast here. So,
man, dating in Miami.
You haven't picked up any clients like as yours. You know what I mean?
No, that I have a very strong boundary. I'm not doing that.
I was watching a video the other day on Instagram, and it was like, what separates me from all the other personal trainers is that I won't sleep with my clients. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Hold on. So you're saying like every personal trainer sleeps with No. Well, those that do,
I don't know.
Shame on you.
I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but Tom Brady's wife for the MMA guy, for the trainer.
Oh yeah, she took. She had like 80 sessions, and she's a white belt still. What was the joke?
Well, but that she cheated on Tom Brady with her trainer.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't catch the joke.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It was.
Explain it to me.
It was during the Tom Brady roast. I forgot which. I think it was Nikki. Oh, is it Nikki Glazer? I forgot her. One of the comedians, but she was like, one of the people were like, yeah, she's taken 4 months worth of jujitsu lessons, and she's still a white belt. Oh. It's like, wait, what?
What's she actually been doing? Yeah. That's crazy.
But pause on that. Tom Brady, you're a GOAT.
I always used to think he had the perfect life. You know that?
100%. Dude, me too.
I never knew that his first kid was with a different woman either. Because in my eyes, that ruins the perfect life.
That was in one of his documentaries. They chatted about that.
I have no idea. But I couldn't believe that divorce, because I looked up and admire him so much. And the reason being, so many people said that I looked like him when I was growing up. So I'm like, oh, okay, like that's super cool. He's a great looking guy, like super beautiful wife, like model, all this crazy things, right?
They have kids. They seem like they're happy and just like strong.
And that's just proof of like, you never know what's going on in somebody's life.
Yeah. We
can't see that behind the scenes. And now they're getting a divorce, and now she's on his case. Like, dude, he quit football and she still left this man. Like he did. I think he did it 1 year too late. Meaning she wanted him to quit and be present so she could come and focus on her business and her things while also being there for the kids and all this. But like, I think his decision to play that 1 extra year is what like cut it off. She's like, if you play, I'm leaving you. And I don't know, who knows how this actually went, but in my mind, it's like, she's like, if you play 1 more year, I'm leaving you. And he's like, okay, this is my last year for real. And then he committed to quitting mentally. And he actually quit. But she was like stuck to her guns, and she's like, no, I'm out. I'm like, damn. But anyways, I used to think he had the perfect life, like perfect wife, all this stuff. But I don't know. Wild, man. Wild.
It is wild. I mean, I hear you. I remember growing up, and it was just, one super successful football player.
Greatest of all time.
Greatest players of all time. You're on the New England Patriots. It's just this kind of like very,
prestigious team.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls.
Bro.
No biggie. He's got the wife, the kids. It's always smiles, news. There's never big tabloids on their family, so they're doing something right. And yeah, that stuff comes out. And of course, I wish both of them all the best, and like I hope family dynamic works out, because again, you have kids, and having a father and a mother figure in that scenario as you're growing up is extremely important. So
100%. Dude, he lives on Indian Creek, and this man has my dream as far as this. He flies into the executive airport in Opelika, takes a helicopter from that airport and lands it on a boat in the middle of the ocean, right? This boat is lodged at his house. So every time I think avoiding traffic is one of the biggest flexes in today's world. The amount of time you spend, like a lot of people drive an hour to and from work, right? Because they can't afford a nice place, right? So like they'll go by like in Kendall, for example, and spend an hour coming to Brickell. Let's do the math on that quickly, and I always do this, but I think it's a very important point. 2 hours a day in the car times 5 days a week is 10 hours a week. Times 52, 520 hours a year. That comes to 20 days. There's 365 days in a year. So 10% of 365 is 36 days. So you're approaching probably that 7% of your year time in car.
Yeah.
That's astronomical. Okay, let's just round up to 10%. Over the course of 10 years, you spend the equivalent of 1 year in the car. Bro, 1 year of your life.
Yeah.
You only live till, if you're lucky, 100.
Yeah.
Guess what? You sleep a third of that. Bro,
I hear you.
You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. That's insane.
And so that's like the question goes for.
I got goosebumps. That was crazy. Like, dude, I'm very passionate about this because people don't understand
breaking
this.
down the math and like putting into perspectives of the percentage of time spent, it's okay. What am I doing?
Crazy. So he'll fly from Opelika to his house, get picked up by a boat, and drive. This man never sits in traffic.
It's a beautiful. I mean, he's in some capacity to earn that with
100%.
how successful he's been.
100%.
I really try to reserve myself from saying someone's deserved it, but earned. He's earned it.
All right. So you said something a little bit funny because I just made a post on Instagram that we just watched behind the scenes here, and it was talking about men's haircuts, right? You go, I just got lined up. I'm so glad I got lined up. And then I'm just shitting on lineups.
Yeah, man. I love a good haircut. It's one of those, it's like a guy's self-care thing. Like if I'm gonna, and I've, found two great barbers down here. Both do an exceptional job, but it's one of those things you sit down, they turn your chair around, you look at yourself, you're like, damn, let's fucking go.
I do look good.
I look good. Thank you so much. Let's go crush the rest of this week.
So one thing about the military, I have to keep my haircut every month before drill, right? So now it's like a lot of haircutting, and $60 a haircut here in Coral. Listen, as we just talked about, I hate sitting in traffic. I'm not going anywhere. And I take my scooter. I hate my car. I take my scooter everywhere I can take it. Like I'm a big fan of Uber now. I try to Uber everywhere. I don't want the liability of driving in case I hit somebody. Like I hate cars. So if it's not close, I'm not going. Anywhere here in Coral Gables, from what I've found, $60 a haircut, right? So I'm like, God damn, $60 a month. And then this brings up an interesting point about me. Is like, I kind of like having that like chip on my shoulder, or I guess that thing that having confidence in not being perfect and still slaying, for example.
Sure.
Like I like to walk around and be like, man, I don't need that perfect hair, or I don't have to dress in a suit and tie. I'll still sell that property. I'll still be the most attractive guy there. I'll still like crush it. All those things, right? And I don't know what it is about me, but that's just how I am. So yeah, with the haircuts monthly, how expensive it is, that chip on my shoulder, I think kind of all of those things together have formulated my opinion of just kind of that men's haircut culture.
Sure. I mean, I've seen, again, it is what it is. I've seen individuals do it like on a weekly basis.
Crazy.
I'm like,
$300 a month on a haircut.
what are you getting done? And I get it. Like, hey, it's the business for the barber too. I'm not trying to take away your business because that's your livelihood as well. For me, it's like, it's one of those monthly things, especially now because it's like, trying to grow the beard out a little bit, just trying to.
You do have a nice full beard, bro. My shit is so patchy, it's like nasty.
You got to keep shaving. Just keep shaving.
I shave, dude. I had to shave every day for 6 months straight in the military.
Keep going. Whatever you're doing,
they see one speck. All right,
it's off.
Yeah, push-ups now, 2 miles, and you're getting to counseling. I'm like, fuck.
That, occasionally we'll bring out the mustache too, but.
I'm growing a mustache right now for sure.
I can see it. It's looking really good up top.
Yeah, clean this up a little bit, let it get a little longer. Dude, I rocked a mustache all of training, and I shaved my mustache off for the first time, and everyone was like, dude, get that mustache back. Like, it became part of my identity. It was crazy. But yeah, I wish I could get a full one like that.
But in terms of, because again, it goes to some of those things of, if there is a certain goal that you have, whether it's saving money, investing money, investing in yourself from a health and wellness perspective, and that maybe you're on a budget and you can't you're going to have to maybe find ways of spending a little bit of extra money on groceries or a certain gym membership. And you realize, okay, well, hey, every week I'm going to go get a haircut, or I'm going to get 2 bottles of wine, which a lot of people do. It's like, that is, again, we're breaking it down in monetary, like weekly now, that's $150. Week 1, week 2, $300, week 3, $450, $500-$600 a month. Mm-hmm. Is there something within your lifestyle that you need to now substitute to allow you to break through and help you get to that, whatever it is you're trying to go? Because everything you're doing now has gotten you to where you are.
100%.
Something needs to change, right? For the individuals that are, and again, it is difficult. I can imagine it's going to be very difficult. If I'm commuting an hour down and back, shout out, I'm only commuting no more than 10 minutes. And that's because school's back now. And I want it that way.
Sure.
Right. And what do I have to do to make sure that I'm going to be making X amount to allow myself to rent somewhere near work? Because for me, the time I spend in the car should be I want that to be minimal.
100%. 100%. Let's say, okay, can we change it up a little bit?
Let's go.
Awesome. So I see you have blue eyes. I see you have a blue shirt. Mm-hmm. I have blue eyes. I have a blue shirt. The only shirts in my entire wardrobe, all blue. I have like 16 of these shirts, and I typically only wear this shirt, to be honest. A lot of people have taken an interest in that, because what I say, and let me hear your opinion too, but if you wear a blue shirt with blue eyes, your eyes are popping, and everybody loves it. Blue is a sense of, it's like a trusting color. A lot of companies, Facebook, for example, is blue. Meta now. I love being, these chairs are blue. My blankets are blue. I love blue. And I've kind of have an identity with blue. Do you have any correlation or see any correlation between like the color of your shirt and the eyes and the compliments or comments you get?
Part of my like kind of joking ego is like, on top of all the other compliments I get. No, but
you're huge, dude.
First, have you tried a darker green, like a green like this?
I haven't.
A lot of compliments. For real? And it was one of those things. I bought a shirt and everyone's like, "Whoa, like your eyes are just popping." Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, interesting. I'm gonna get another one."
Absolutely, bro.
So the blues and the greens, but yeah, I mean, growing up, blue was always kind of my favorite color to begin with.
That's awesome.
So it just kind of translated to, when you're young, like your parents know what your favorite color is. So, everything in the bedroom is like all of a sudden blue.
Yeah.
Just because it's like,
I think
makes you feel good and comfortable. It's like what you like.
I think it'll do well in the dating scene.
It has done well in the dating scene.
You're like, it has.
It has done well in the dating scene.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'd say, what is it that I'd say? Blue. Blue is great.
Cool. We'll clip that. Next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is birth control for females.
Okay.
My girlfriend, not on birth control. And I'm fully supportive of that, 100%. And the reason being is, and there's been a lot of stuff lately, like with birth control coming out, altering females, hormone levels, all this crazy stuff, right? I'm like fully against like hospitals and doctors and medicine, like all of it. I'm wildly against it, and I will go to very far extents to make sure that I don't put anything foreign in my body. So like I'm fully 100% supportive of that. I don't think a lot of people are willing to take that risk. For example, if we have a kid, who cares? We have a kid, like we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But my pull-out game's pretty strong. Okay, so it's like.
Oh, so are you saying even like condoms? You're not a
trainee. No. Yeah, no condoms.
Okay.
But it's like, I guess we're kind of at that point where it's like, whatever, if we have a kid. But what is your take on how?
And one too, like how long have you two been really? Beautiful. Exactly. If you guys, and you both know like you want to have kids someday? 6
minimum.
Whoa.
Yeah, bro.
I love it for you guys.
Yeah, big family.
All right, so don't pull out. Who cares?
I need a big real estate. My kids have to help with the real estate empire. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I'm second generation, so I don't know if we've talked too much about this, but my mom's big in real estate. I'm in real estate. Bought this house in October of last year. I own a bunch of property up in Wisconsin, so my whole entire family's in real estate. So like, it's become a generational thing, right? The first generation is always like grinding. Like my mom has done a tremendous job as a single mother, had me at 18, my sister at 21. Done an amazing, amazing job, and has far surpassed so many things, right? She's very accomplished. So now I'm the oldest son. So it's my responsibility now. And that has to continue through me. So kids are extremely, extremely important to me. We're getting engaged soon, probably. I just bought the ring, actually. So that's kind of...
She's in the other room, isn't she?
Yeah, she knows.
Is she? Okay.
But yeah, so super excited there. But yeah, what's your take, I guess, on the whole birth control thing?
All right, and just to preface, not a woman. I am a man, and my opinion on this, again, goes as far as what I know about everything regarding birth control, how it's... So
You're a lot more proper than I am.
What I do understand around this topic is that, and from women that I've talked to and individuals in the medical field whom I've had conversations with about this.
You've actually done research? Because I haven't.
From the conversations I've had, yeah.
That's amazing, yeah.
And it's one of those things where it is going to impact certain hormones in the body in a way that may or may not be reversible. It does impact then the actual pheromones. And it was interesting too, hearing was it hearing or reading? One of the two. But there have been women in situations where they're with their partner on birth control for years.
They come off and it's a different...
And it's hormones change and those pheromones change, and that person you were just attracted to and felt for, you lose it.
Goosebumps. That would be the biggest nightmare ever.
And
you're almost dating a separate person.
Right.
Bro.
Right. So, bro. And a lot of the conversations I've had with women, like the women that do take birth control or have gotten off or just choose not to, my first question is like, what made you want to go on it to begin with? Like, what did the doctor say you needed for? Is it because you had some acne? Oh, you were a teenager? That's normal. Let that. Here's an idea. Exercise. Eat something. Yeah. Try to get enough sleep as your body is growing and evolving through your adolescent years, your teen years.
I saw a statistic that the United States has the youngest, puberty rate for all of females across the entire world, which is happening between the ages of 10 and 13. I don't know if that's true, but that's the video I saw. And the reason being is all the estrogen that we're ingesting or they're ingesting in their body through plastics, all this birth control, all these things. So like they're ready to have kids at 10, 12, 13 years old. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And like, I don't know. I'm to the point where I would go so far as to protect Anna, for example. I would get, after we're done having kids, I would get clipped rather than she take any birth control.
Sure.
Like it's risky for me, right? Like maybe I want to have kids later on, but can't because I got clipped or whatever the case may be. But like
reversible.
Yeah. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's reversible. There. Problem solved. Like whatever. Who cares? Yeah, my pee-pee is going to be sore for a little bit, but it is what it is.
You're good.
I would rather be dating a freaking somebody that I know and love and not putting her in a troublesome scenario. Like I'm very passionate about that. And like, I think that there's birth control, non-hormonal, like an IUD I've heard of, where there's two different types of IUDs. One is hormonal, one's non-hormonal. I've heard a lot about people saying that, oh, this non-hormonal one is okay. If you had to take birth control or if you have to do that, this is the one you should go with. I don't know too much about it, but that's kind of what I've been seeing online. So interesting, man. Such an interesting topic. Hot topic, of course. Then you have abortion laws coming into place, like all this stuff with the elections. It's wild. And people that should be having kids are not having kids till later because they want to have a professional career set up. They think it's like it's super expensive. They have to be in this right place. And the people that should not be having kids are having the most amount of kids. And as Elon says, the population is actually decreasing. Wild, bro. Any thoughts, opinions on that?
Yes, but I'm not going to talk about them. I'm going to refrain from my opinion on that.
That sounds good. Let's dive into Okay. Remember how we were talking about like candy
Yes.
and like
yeah.
or eating candy late at night and
Sure.
overweight people, for
Yep,
example.
yep.
So my mom used to have a vending machine business.
Oh,
right?
nice. Okay.
So she would have tons of candy, and we would go like she would have commercial sized candy boxes in our basement, and bro, we would be playing Call of Duty late at night in the basement. All my friends would come over. My mom would have those, and she would take me to the grocery store, and I would just load up with like Gatorades and like honey buns and all this crazy stuff. So like massive amounts of unhealthy food, and I'm a little bit frustrated that she let me do that. Created some bad habits.
And do you do that now?
No, But-
well, as a habit. So when you were young.
but when I was young, like me as a parent, I'm not gonna let that happen. Ain't no way
Okay.
they're eating that food.
And I think that's just, I mean, that's an important piece to kind of understand too, is like you learn, your parents knew what they knew. They did what they could to make sure they were putting you in the best situation. Now that you can reflect on that and say, when I have kids, I'm not going to do that. That's your impact that you're going to have on them in a positive way.
Yeah.
That you got to only learn and experience because when you were younger, you had the free reign of eating all the honey buns and drinking all the Gatorade you wanted.
They didn't even have zero Gatorade back then.
Oh,
Gatorade
no,
Zero
it
is
was-
like the
it was-
greatest thing ever. I'll smack those, and yeah, there's probably still sugar in there that's just hidden and not disclosed in the ingredients. It has to be because it still
What flavor?
tastes good. I don't know. It doesn't matter what flavor.
You don't have a favorite Gatorade flavor.
As long as it's zero, bro.
It'll be anything.
I don't care.
Okay. But if there was one, you were to
Blue, light blue.
Okay.
I think there's a light blue.
Yeah. Blue Frost.
Because
Yeah, I mean, of
I
course.
carry it like this next to my eyes so that everybody passing me says I have pretty eyes.
What's up?
Blue steel.
That's funny. See, I'm more of the I forgot which one, the lime green.
That's a good one. They don't have that in
So
zero,
good.
do they? Do they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Celsius. How do you feel about Celsius? Or energy drinks in general?
When I first started out in just in high school, you know, you're with the boys, you're training football, you're just trying to get as big and fast, as strong as you can. You always have that older kid that would come up and say, "Hey, you want to try this pre-workout?" I'm like, "Sure." Like, I don't know what to
C4.
expect. Could have been C4, could have been, for those of you who knew, Jacked 3D, old formula, illegal now.
Illegal now?
7 continents. No, I'm kidding. But banned because there were, I think, traces of amphetamines that they were putting in a certain pre-workout. And
Is that like a steroid or just something bad for you?
it's a very heavy stimulant. Yeah. And so going back to the pre-workouts, back then, and again, too, like you're in your early teens, late teens, early 20s, like,
Invincible.
fuck it. Try it. I'm trying it. We're hitting crazy workouts. The pumps are ridiculous. We're getting bigger. We're getting faster. We're getting stronger. And this is just, you get in there and you're, you know, with your crew and everything just feels so good. Electrified. And now it's one of those things where it's like, no, thank you. I am having trouble going to bed and I love knocking out and sleeping for my 7 hours. Occasionally, like, yeah, I'll have it. I've been kind of dealing with some gut issues too, where I've noticed where if I do have some sort of energy drink, like let's say the one that you've mentioned, stomach doesn't react too well to it. And I'd rather just have a double shot of espresso, like a splash of half and half or something, and go about my day. But for those who are cranking C4s and pre-workouts and they're part of the evening crowd, I get it. You're tired, but that caffeine's going to stay in your body for hours. So if you're taking it at 7, you're going to bed at 10. You're going to bed at midnight because I know you're not going to bed at 10. Talking to you. It's still in your body. Your body's going to have trouble getting into your sleep stages of like REM and deep sleep. And day over day, time over time, compounding interest with this caffeine late at night can play a negative role.
The military has a massive, I guess, stereotype of energy drinks all the time, 24/7. And there were vending machines at school. It was like the only time you could drink anything other than freaking water. So I like would drink a couple Celsiuses here and there, but I tried to refrain from it. So that was interesting, but yeah. I've noticed with nicotine that if I smoke I smoke cigars.
Cool.
Only vice I have is playing nicotine or smoking nicotine or chewing nicotine gum, and then like playing video games. I think I would consider both of those selfish, negatively affecting things, I guess. And if I smoke a cigar late at night, it takes me a while to wind down. But my mind is just buzzing with business ideas. So I'm trying to lay and sleep, and it's like, oh, but this, oh, do this, do this. And I'm like, God damn, just shut up and go to bed, turn it off.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's the same thing with Celsius's or caffeine. I will not drink caffeine late in the day for that particular reason, just because I do like it in the morning.
Sure.
Waking up, having it like that.
A lot of it too is because, again, like being in Miami and working with individuals who are from a European descent or from a Latin descent, culturally,
100%.
I get it. Culturally, like that's what you grew up on. Like you finish your dinner, you have an espresso, whatever that may be.
I was just in France and we were smashing freaking coffee like that after dinner. It was funny.
And when I'm on vacation and I'm going to Italy, or I haven't been to France yet, but I'd love to go. It's like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy myself.
You got to play a part in that culture.
I'll be a part of the culture. Yeah. Like, give me an espresso shot. Fine. Let's have fun.
Every once in a while is okay. You know
yeah.
what I mean? If you're on vacation like that, 100%. But.
Right. Again, then it goes back down. Now, well, that's where discipline comes in.
100%.
Right.
Turn it on and off.
Knowing how to turn it on and off. Like if you're going to allow yourself to have a vacation, allow yourself to have a vacation. If you're in a position where you're a high level C-suite exec and you know, like you've got individuals under you that can handle certain tasks and requirements that you may usually do, but for that week, they can take care of it, allow them to take care of it. If it's a trust thing, why is it a trust thing? What needs to change to you be able to trust those individuals that work for you or with you to allow yourself to hand off some work so you can actually relax versus always hearing like, oh man, I took a vacation, but I actually need one after this because it wasn't a vacation at all. I was just working the whole time. Well,
how do you work out when you vacation?
Yeah, I enjoy, there's a few things that coming to mind. One is running and one is weight training. I'll put weight training kind of on the back burner. If anything, I'll look up a CrossFit gym, something where I can just go and follow someone's orders on that sense, not have to like follow a program, like my own program for that matter, and just have fun, kind of meet the people that I'm around with. Because again, it's one of those things where when I'm in that community, I'm already with like-minded individuals to some capacity.
Sure.
So I can always just kind of shoot the shit, try to speak German or Italian, whatever it may be, and just trying to break barriers and have fun. But now I've started to enjoy taking some time to run around a certain neighborhood that I'm staying near, because September actually marks the 1 year that I've been consistently running, and it feels really good.
Yeah.
And just having that ability to run around different neighborhoods and different parts of the world and just be able to be exposed to some beautiful architecture and scenery, I enjoy that. I think that's a lot of fun.
It taps like a deep, I don't know, discovery something within us. I feel like running in those different places like that, you're high from the dopamine of the run. You're seeing all this new stuff, the adventure, like such a good, cool time.
Yeah.
Do you go to run clubs at all?
I do.
Like Brickell Run Club, Coconut Grove Run Club?
Coconut Grove Run Club.
Love Coconut Grove Run Club.
Shout out Christian.
I think it's better than the Brickell Run Club.
Haven't been to the Brickell Run Club.
Too big.
So I've heard.
Like thousands and thousands of people. Maybe not thousands, but maybe 1,000. I don't know how many people. A couple hundred.
A lot. I've seen the videos. I mean, there's so many individuals. What are you trying to get out of that run club?
It's a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I think that's why a lot of people go there. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with it because it's like healthy people. Like that's a great spot to find a significant other.
And again,
they might have slept with half the run club, but hopefully you don't find out.
Yeah.
Welcome to Miami.
Oh,
college all over again.
Stop it. Oh boy. I was gonna go to the other few components of that.
What's in it? Yeah.
One, it's the community aspect. 100%. Get to meet new people. It's great. You've got an activity that's not including just, people getting shit-faced at the bar. It's something health-related, and I feel like and again, too, at some capacity, you're meeting individuals who are like-minded.
They care.
We already have something in common. Like, oh, like, what brought you to the run club? Oh, no way. Like, you work out too? Like, no, me too. Like, that's why we're here. Just easy way to.
What better way to connect with somebody than like that shows they care about their health, bro. Like, that's gonna be a way better partner than somebody that doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you get ghosted. Sorry.
They're like, yeah, I'm talking to this other guy in run club.
Or that you just don't get told anything.
Yeah, maybe. It's crazy.
That's something I just don't get. You can tell I'm like a little like, God damn it.
Meaning because you always get a response, or like why would they not respond? Are you saying you got so much game that you don't get ghosted?
Oh no, I've been ghosted.
Okay.
Since moving to Miami, I've been ghosted.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's one. I mean, I'm sure we can talk a little bit more. I've kind of understood the situation around like depending on the duration that you've spent talking with this individual. If you get ghosted within like a certain time frame, let's say within a month, fine. It's one of those things where it's like, let bygones be bygones. It's always nice to just get a note like, hey, things have been great. It's not working out though. Wish you the best. After a certain time though, let's say like 3 months or more, if you're getting ghosted, it's like,
I thought we had something.
Yeah. But that's my personal take on.
You know what would help with the dating scene? Or just everybody in general? If they had a real estate portfolio.
I saw
It's at like 15,000 views right now. So the first thing I did with my girlfriend, I wanted to make sure I had it locked in, right? And it's interesting because a lot of the comments, but let's dive into this here. So as a man, I think if you have a plan and you can show that you have a plan and that you're going to be a safe individual, that she can trust you. Bro, this house is fucking beautiful. This is a $2.2 million fucking house in Miami. You're out of your goddamn mind. And I'm so thankful. Like, I'm genuinely like so fucking thankful. And a lot of it has to do with my mother being sharing her real estate knowledge with me and all of these things, right? And not many people get this opportunity. So when you have something and a fucking plan and a goal and a motivation, but not just that, but it's like so deeply rooted within you, I think you should share that. I really 100% think that you should share that. And by sharing that, you're going to get a quality individual, a woman who I guess is submissive. That's a big thing right now. Females being submissive or not, or trying to be the breadwinners, whatever. If you have a plan like this, fucking show it. Now, a lot of the comments in that video, for example, were, oh, she's a gold digger. She's that. She's this.
Right.
She pays, and I'm not stupid, right? Like, once you hit a certain age or something, you might be a little bit more adept to accepting a gold digger or somebody that's after your money. First and foremost, make sure your assets are protected and in trust. Secondarily, I went to the extent of to this fucking day, we have no kids. She is paying for her own shit. She pays for her car. When we go out to eat, she pays for half the fucking bill. I am not letting her leech off of me like that. I want a partner in life. I don't want a motherfucking leech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the steps that I've taken to protect myself and her. Mm-hmm. And it would be selfish of me to let her leech off of that. Right? I really believe that. So back, kind of lightening things up and transitioning out of that passion there is, I think if you, like, a real estate portfolio is a flag in the ground that says, hey, I've accomplished this. I'm very proud of this. I've done this. And when you're young, Anna and I met when I was, so she just turned 21. She was 20 when we met. No, sorry, she just turned 21. I was 24. When you're young like this, you don't have many things that you've done in life that you're proud of and can plant a flagship in and be like, this shit's mine. This makes me proud. I'm happy I did this. Yeah. You might have just graduated college. Cool. Everybody does that. But to stack those wins up at such a young level is so hard. So when you have them, fucking share them, because it's going to give you a very, very, very quality woman. So that was my take and my approach on that video. And yes, Instagram, you can only post a minute and 30-second long video, so you can't explain all these things that we're unraveling right here, or the intentions behind my post or anything like that. My intention behind the post was, hey, if you have something like this, share it, make sure you're protected, and you're going to get a quality female.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. Because, yeah, at first, I mean, I could agree. At first, when I saw your post, there was that sense of like, I mean, yeah, you're bought into these core values and core beliefs that you have for yourself. And I think that's incredible, because that's something that I think men have lost, is that certain sense of confidence, because there's a lack of values and principles that they're not abiding by, or they can talk about it, but they're not being about it. So you see in the comments individuals that don't have that, and there's maybe some form of jealousy around it, to where they're just going to push their insecurities on you through what they have to say in their comments. Because I think it's also 100%. Important too. It's through experience also being able to weave out the individuals, the females that here, wherever they may be,
100%,
that are
after the money,
and like 100%. Knowing how to sift through.
See,
that.
Real estate brings a different aspect from like cars. Every guy goes to a fucking car. It's a liability. It's an issue. You can fake a car. How the hell are you going to fake goddamn 5 properties? Mm-hmm. Motherfucking impossible.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah. 5
properties, spending fucking $9,000 a month, whatever the case may be, on like mortgages, insurance, all this stuff. That's a different type of wealth than the car. But the car is the first thing that everybody gets because it's their first purchase. All the women see that like, oh, God. But a true fucking, like a woman that comes from a like core value family, I feel like, is going to know that shit's fake.
Right.
And then these guys buy these things or cars or whatever because they want that attention. So it attracts those people. And you have to be able to decipher. I think you have to be able to sit down and decipher, why is this female talking to me? She probably knows I'm faking it, or not faking it, but maybe you do have the car, but she knows that that's like not necessarily real wealth. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. This is the first time I'm talking about this, right? So this is how this podcast works for me, is I talk about things and it kind of comes out like a blob, right? But then 2 episodes later, it'll be a fully formed, fucking thought out opinion that is so clippable, and it's going to be semi-viral on Instagram.
Let's go.
That's how this shit unfolds for me. Now, we were talking, this is like the 18th episode or whatever. The amount of I've changed in these 18 is crazy. And the amount of formulated opinion, before, dude, I was starting like, but now it's like, I'm kind of getting in that groove. So when I say these things that I'm stuttering like this, like this is where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so interesting. I also think this brings up an interesting point, is like, once you get to, I don't know, late 20s, I would say, I feel like men are kind of just like, fuck it, I just need somebody. So then they're like comfortable with this girl kind of leeching off of them, or like being in it for the wrong reasons, because it's somebody. It's somebody that can give me a baby or a kid. Like, it's just, I have to feel loved. At this point, I'm in my late 20s and I'm fucked. So I think that brings up an interesting point as well, is like, where are you at in this whole finding a relationship? What are you willing to accept or not because you think it's too late? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't think it's ever too late. Unless you tell yourself it is.
I always thought that if I didn't have a girl by the end of college, I was fucked.
Same. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was one of those things, because I was going off my understanding of what my parents had. Mm-hmm. They came here to the States when they were 23, right? On their own, moving across the world.
Crazy, bro.
24, I came in the picture. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those, okay, like, hey, like when I'm in college, I'm going to find someone, and like I know it's going to work because they're going to be the one, and then it's all of a sudden like it's senior year and I'm about to graduate, I'm single.
You're like, shit. Yeah.
And throughout time and also experience and meeting incredible people, being able to listen to different podcast forms and just listen and digest and form my own thoughts and opinions on it. I think for me, at least, this year has been a big year, and I'm 29, has been a big year of understanding myself and what my values are and principles, and kind of finding that confidence again in myself to be able to not be afraid of being adaptable, but also not being afraid of standing up for what is important to me and what I'm looking for in a partner. Because I want a partner. I want to have kids, and I want to make a lot of money so that I can provide what my parents did for me, and then some.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it gets me amped up. What was the initial question?
I guess just kind of your thoughts and opinions on that timeline, right? When is the right time?
Right. So I guess so this is an interesting piece because you gotta, and I've heard opinions from multitudes of individuals who talk about being in a relationship, and yet they still have 9 people on speed dial for every booty call for whatever time they want. How are you going to find the one if you're focusing on all the numbers? You've got these Tinders and Hinges, and it's become a big numbers game. Who fucking cares about your number? Nobody does. And you know why? Because when you're
lower the number, the better, goddammit.
Huh?
I think the lower the number, the better.
Right. But there's, throughout certain pieces of society and through these apps, it's been if I can increase my number, that'll up my chances of finding the one. And yet still, I find a lot. Are you
talking about number as in sleeping with them, or number as in connecting with them?
Both. You're connecting with them, yet I still see individuals having an intention of, well, it's because I want to sleep with these people too. So what are you going into these apps with? When in reality, if you focus on one number, yourself, and you find out what it is that's important to you, you are going to attract that. Anna?
Yeah.
Women like Anna, like the woman, into your life because you're confident, you know what you bring to the table. And that's more important, because when you're 95 and you're, let's say you're 100, you're on your deathbed and you've done everything, you can look back at her and your kids and your grandkids and you have an incredible story, versus someone who's 100 laying on a deathbed. And what are you going to talk about? All the people you've slept with? Mm-hmm. Who fucking cares? You are going to be lonely and depressed, and you're just running away from something. Wow, I'm really fired up right now.
That's good, bro. Let's go.
Quick deep breath.
keep diving into that shit though, bro.
It's something that I've just really been exposed to and have seen here the last 2 and some years that I've been living, and I hear every little bit an excuse of, the next one I'm going to work on. I'm going to find someone. You're still doing this, just like building your habits with improving your lifestyle and your health. You're still doing the same freaking thing.
So I read this book while I was in the military. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. Yellow front page. I forget who it was by. A daisy. You know how a daisy loses its flowers and then it turns into the white things, and then they blow in the wind and it makes more. Or sorry, dandelions. Yes, yeah. Dandelion. It loses its yellow. It becomes those white seeds, and they fly all over and make more dandelions. Right. Again, it's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. She was a caretaker at these elderly people that were on their deathbed, passing away in the next probably 2 weeks. She went through this book so in depth into their death and all of these things, and a lot of them regretted something, right? So she gave, I forget what the 5 are, but it's all in my head. But when I read a book, it stays with me subconsciously. It'll pop up at random times and be like, damn, I remember that book. This is super important for me. I'm so glad I read that book. I can't rattle it off right now, though. And I always hear Gary Vaynerchuk. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk? Yeah. Okay, so great guy. Impacted me immensely. Dropped out of college because of him. Anyways, so he always talks about going to an old folks home and talking to people about what they regret. And that's where you're going to learn the most in life, because these motherfuckers have nothing to lose. They've lived a whole life. They're about to pass away. They don't care. They just want to help the next generation, and they're honest, open. Some of them can't even pass away. In this book, she was saying some people can't pass away until they close certain chapters or close certain things with certain people. There was one female who all she wanted to do was talk to her friend. And this friend was lost. She didn't know how to work a phone back then. So what this lady did is found the friend for her. They talked. She passed away an hour after it. And I think that there's certain things like that that'll keep people from passing away because they regret it so much. Now, this kind of, I think, is treading in that water of regret, like to the point where it's going to keep you from an unhappy passing away or whatever the case may be, which is so, so interesting. But yeah, man, like priorities. I think my point with that whole spiel there was, if you're struggling or if you need some advice, go to a goddamn old folks home. Just talk. See what comes out of it. I guarantee you walk away with a massively changed perspective and a way different change. Like, your life will change. I guarantee it. I haven't done it personally. I've thought about it. I've talked to some elderly people, but not in an old folks home. I love learning from this neighborhood. All the two streets down, there's a gentleman, 97 years old, veteran. His wife is sick right now. I pull up in front of his house, and in the concrete, he wrote his letters of him and his wife. And I'm just sitting there talking to him, and it's so crazy. Like, a lot of older people in this neighborhood, I've learned a lot from, and it's very interesting.
Wow. And I'd say to some capacity too, you're giving your time to someone and allowing them to share a certain experience that maybe they just haven't even thought of, and it's exactly what they needed as well.
100%.
So you giving that to
a
them
listening
is
ear? Holy
100%.
shit. Holy shit.
Which goes into, I think, another component of like what makes a good man is, like you mentioned, you've got these future ambitions and endeavors and somewhere you've been already, and you find, and that woman who goes in your life sees that. That's a big one. And the second one is the ability to give without asking for reciprocation, just like keeping tallies on, oh, I've done this, like
For this person, yeah.
and just generally doing it, like saying hi, complimenting someone, going to an old folks home, retirement center, and giving your time for them, and you're getting something great from them, but you're, at the end of the day too, you're
providing so much
for them. Mm-hmm. I think that's that falls into that bucket.
So let's bring this up then, since we just came off of that. There's a female, 1.5 million followers. She's responded to my DM of, hey, come on the podcast. She's an OnlyFans model. Now,
She wants you to go on her podcast.
she wants to come, or I asked her to come on this. I didn't realize she was an OnlyFans person. She said, hey, what do you want to talk about? Now, me having Anna, for example, adds a whole nother dynamic, right? I have to respect a relationship. That's treading very interesting water. The connotation that comes along with interviewing a female that does have OnlyFans, for example, opens up a whole nother realm of judgment. Does she have a lot of attention? Yes. Will it bring me some attention? Yes. Am I willing to do that? I'm not sure. What are the repercussions? What are the positives? This happened last night, so I'm still sitting and thinking on it, but this whole social media podcasting world is a wild, wild, wild motherfucking game. And, bro, yeah, there's just so much that goes into it, and so many people are affected, and so many opinions are thrown around and all this shit, so it just brings up an interesting point.
It does. Well, at the same time, you kind of answered. You're teetering around what the right answer is, but it sounds like you've got the answer dialed in already. And if I can dive into a little bit deeper, are you familiar with the Rich Dad Poor Dad book?
Absolutely. Robert Kiyosaki. Changed my life.
I wish I would have read that.
You haven't?
I have.
Okay.
9 years ago. I would have read that 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where he was offering like a deal or a paycheck to the dad was offering that paycheck, or I forget, it was like a deal to Robert and his friend for like X amount of money, and learning how to turn down that offer at the time, because if you continue on the path of everything you're doing, like everything will flourish in the way you're looking for it, versus just like, big nugget, let me take it right now, and then not taking in those next 3-4 steps of the repercussions of what that could be. And you have examples like Joe Rogan and Pat McAfee, who were negotiating with Spotify or like Pat McAfee. Are you familiar with him?
So is he the guy that did the McAfee security?
No.
Okay,
no,
different guy.
No, totally different guy.
I'm not familiar with him.
That guy, I think he's still out in hiding somewhere. Pat McAfee, former NFL player, incredible podcast turned
I know who he is.
national broadcast on ESPN.
Yeah, big sports guy.
Big sports guy. And it was one of those things where it's like he's great with just openly talking about it on his show too. But it was one of those things of like, you know, there were non-negotiables for me. There were big numbers, but they were taking away things that I was not gonna. There were my non-negotiables. And throughout time and consistency and just negotiating with like these individuals, we found something where it's like, we're going to be able to talk the way we want to talk, say the things we want to say. That's made us as big as we are.
Sure.
And I'm able to not just provide it for me, but also everyone that's make this production the way it is.
Sure.
And he was able to do it. They're on ESPN, they're still on YouTube, and
he crushes it, man.
It's awesome to see.
Yeah, there's so. And I want to just talk a little bit more about this for people that are thinking about starting their own podcast, because everybody should have a podcast. Everybody is going to have a podcast. It's just the way of the future, right? Sure. With all these big deals that we're seeing coming out, if you own a business, there's 770,000 realtors in Miami, and there's a ton of fitness coaches or...
Yeah, I say like a broad scope, just personal trainers.
Personal trainers. So there's a ton of personal trainers, right? And it becomes, how do you decipher you from all the others, right? So like you have to set yourself apart, and how you do that is by formulating your own thoughts, opinions, motivations. You get people that are on board with your own thoughts, opinions, and motivations, and then they connect, and then you end up doing business together, right? So it's like, there's so much that goes into this. And I'm actually, after every episode, what I do is I write down how I felt. It's a documentary. I write down how I felt through the episode, what I introduced differently, how the guest was, all this stuff, right? Because like you're a different person than the last guest and then the next guest.
Yeah.
I'm a different host than your next podcast. And there's so many variables. And like you mentioned before in this podcast, which is everybody's their own different human. You can't just go make a fucking program that's going to fit.
I've got 10 minutes.
That sounds good, bro.
All right. Do I need to put a... Okay, I can see the time over
so
there. Okay.
Once it hits 15, we're good?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. I was like, hold on. But this has been great. I feel like a lot of time has gone by.
Yeah. But
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, bro. So where it goes is like, not everybody's the same person. You can't just make one plan or one program for everybody. If you could, it'd be great, but not how the world works. You want to swap it up? You want to talk about Liver King?
What about him?
You tell me, man. What's your thoughts and opinions on him? I know he was taking steroids, but...
Sure. Again, it's intentions versus outcomes. He's got some great intentions, but the outcomes that could lead for certain people, and he blatantly lied. I look like this
for social media to get a big social following.
For sure. And he was very wealthy with his other business that he has that helped fuel the marketing and everything that went into social media, which, I mean, all power to it. Like if you've got that to give you the leverage, use it. But if you're going to lie...
I unfollowed him because of that. I felt very...
Good.
I wasn't even that involved in it, right? Like I knew you can look at the guy and be like, okay, he's probably taking something.
Sure.
I don't even know too much about the weightlifting industry or that whole regimen.
Crazy, bro.
Tell me. Educate me.
The fitness industry there's a lot of potential. And just like with anything else where there's a lot of potential, there's going to be those who want to take advantage of it and want to take advantage of it for better or for worse. I mean, I don't know where like I can even
I know
start.
So supplements are a massively lucrative business.
100%.
Because it's a recurring revenue. Everything in the world right now is going to subscription. Because it's recurring revenue for the business, and it's just like kind of a more safe business opportunity because you're getting that monthly check from them, right? It's a monthly charge. So for him to kind of go up there and do all this stuff and create it, Joe Rogan has On It or whatever that's called, like that brain, Alpha Brain, that's what it is.
On It's the company.
On It's the company, but he has Alpha. I don't even know too much about it, to be honest.
On It makes Alpha Brain and a bunch of other supplements.
Okay. But that is such a freaking profitable business, and all these platforms, like he was lying, I think a lot to do so with that business and getting those subscriptions to that company.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, You're talking about Liver King still?
Yeah, both of them. I mean, Joe Rogan might not be a liar, but Liver King, I think, was like, oh, I'm not on steroids. I take this instead to get subscribers to his pill company. And then he's just off and making zillions of dollars.
I mean, yeah. I feel like I'm kind of backing up Joe on this, but he was an initial investor with on it.
Liver King?
Joe.
Okay.
I don't care about Liver King.
Okay. We're talking Joe.
Talking Joe. He was one where, from my understanding, he was a big investor into Onnit and those supplements prior to like all the exposure that he's had with where he is now within the last few years. And hey, it's one of those things where Onnit as the company, like, good for you guys that you have such a big investor from early on
now
talk about it on his platform,
which is the biggest platform on like YouTube.
Right. So
that worked for everyone.
Great. And it's awesome. And it's one of those things, like, I was someone that was taking Alpha Brain for a while early on too, because I was always interested in just like, what's going to help me feel like, just making sure my cognition is just on it. Oh, look at that.
That's why it's called.
That's why it's called On It. Wow, that's great. So I played around with it too, and it's one of those things where, and nowadays too, you see a lot more of the nootropic drinks, ready to go drinks, sparkling drinks, supplements. Some of them are great, some of them maybe a little bit of BS. But again, it's like, I guess it's up to the company as to what they want to, where they see their brand going, the individuals in charge of making those decisions that could impact a lot of people, from the Liver King to, I mean, we're not going to talk politics, but from like the Liver King to, I've seen certain brands that have these, like healthy versions of like protein bars or Pop-Tarts, whatever they may be. And then you look at the label and they've got red 40 in them. I'm like, what? Okay, it's 20 grams of protein. And if you know how to, some individuals just don't know how to read a nutrition label, and that's a common thing.
That's crazy.
You have like 15 grams of sugar in this thing, and then one of the main ingredients or food colorings is red 40, which is now being directly linked with carcinogens, right, and cancer. Y'all need to go to church, something, because that's just not okay.
You just got back into church, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the military, church is kind of what got me through. Like, it was that hope. But now that it's not convenient, I don't go. I think a lot of people are in my camp.
Convenience?
Not going to church, only going to church when it's convenient. I don't think I have a great relationship with God or Jesus, or I don't even know the correct term. I'm so
just like spiritual.
Yeah. I wish I had a better connection. I wish I was more committed to that part of my life. I'm not. How has it been for you?
Well, from when I grew up, like growing up Roman Catholic, from, again, first gen parents, every Sunday, church. Is it under my will? Not under my will? I had no choice.
Sure.
Right? You wake up, church closed, you're going there.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew there was a God, there was Jesus, and we're praying, because there are certain things in life that you do that impacts your ability to go to heaven or hell. That's as much as I knew when I was young. I'd sit down, the pastor was giving a sermon, and he'd give you the interpretations of what they were covering. I had no idea what I was listening to. Mm-hmm. And then when I think it was, I got into college, private liberal arts school, took a Bible class, was interpreting it, and I was just like, I don't like this. I don't like these messages. And this is, again, I'm reading this from what I, right now, at that time, had an understanding of. So those messages at the time just weren't really relating with me. I wasn't understanding them. I was just, I guess I could have, at the time, I went into it with what I knew. And then after that, I kind of stopped. I lost my way with spirituality. I think that's how I want to articulate it. And again, there was part of me that was always just like, I know, like, I'm going to take time to just like do a short prayer before I go to bed. I kind of looked at it as, and I kind of still do. It's like, hey, I'm checking in. I'm letting you know how I'm doing. I'm letting you know what I'm doing. Thank you. I'm going to bed. Kind of
sure.
deal. And it wasn't until like 2 months ago, 3 months ago that, ever since moving down to Miami, and there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since then, where there was that bit of like confidence in myself that I was losing. And I just couldn't find, like, what am I not doing? Like, I'm working full time, from a monetary perspective, I'm doing well for myself. And I know I have a goal of where I want to be 5-10 years from now. I'm doing these self-help things, reading these business books, but yet there's like something where I'm just not fulfilled, and like I don't feel that. Where's, and not a motivation, but where's that? There's like a barrier of like this like energy, the same energy that you just brought when you were talking about, like, taking that flag and posting it. Like there's a certain amount of confidence and energy there that I lost. And lucky enough, I started to go to church again on Sundays. I attend VU.
I've heard a lot about that church recently, actually.
And down here, South Miami, started going. And again, it was like this barrier where my first few masses that I attended, again, it was just a little uncomfortable. It was a lot from what I remember it being, just from the energy and the music, the singing, all of it. But like week over week, just like with anything else, you get to become a little bit more open. You feel a little bit more confident. So all of a sudden, like these messages, I'm like actively listening and like digesting it. And then this past month, they were doing every Saturday they're doing a men only sermon, kind of breaking down everything around that book of Samson, like dating Delilah, lust, what are the other words? Can't think of them right now, and it just felt really good. I was taking notes. I was like, this is almost like kind of breaking past that cloud of what I knew my values and principles to be, and it's just like reinforcing them again and giving me that confidence to speak up when I need to speak up. If someone's, whether it's my place or not, let's, I don't know, random example. If someone's giving someone some bullshit advice on relationships, I'm going to speak up. If someone's not treating someone with respect out in public, well, hey, we're in public, so I'm going to say something in a way that's not too confrontational.
Sure.
And I am a big guy.
Yeah, I was going to say you smack their ass anyways.
But that goes back to what being a good man is. And this one resonated with me really well. It's being a good man is like, there's that understanding that I can hurt someone. Mm-hmm. I have
controlling it.
There's like the physical component of whoever it may be. Right. And it sounds very tough for me to say, like, man or woman, right? I would never lay my hands on a woman, period. Like, there's absolutely not. But it's something that needs to be voiced, where you have that, but you have nothing to prove, because you know what you're capable of. And exactly, you're making the conscious decision to not hurt, to not 100%. Do harm. And you're making the conscious decision to give. And you're making the conscious decision to help someone out.
Dude, some of the nicest, most amazing people are the biggest people, because they know they have nothing to, they know that they could do something like that, and they have nothing to prove. They've controlled that. They're comfortable with that. And that's why you see all these, like, or at least my understanding is, like, that's why you see all these big teddy bears, you call it, like, oh, Big Ross or whatever his name is. And he's like, just massive guy could like kill you going like that, yeah. But he won't. And he's just like, everybody turns to him. He's this nice, awesome teddy bear type feel. And I don't know if I'm being, I guess, derogatory or whatever the case may be, but I've had experience with that, where like you have a 6'8" friend who could just go boom, like ripped out of his mind. Nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Y'all have nothing to prove.
And I feel like height, strength, or whatever, like, I'd say it's super important for any man to have some ability of like defending himself and his family. Right?
That's right there.
Right there.
All these crazy people coming in here that I don't know who they are, I got to let them know to not come back or they're going to get popped. I'm dead serious.
I hear you.
That's why that's there.
I hear you loud and clear. That's why we live in Florida.
I'm not as big as you, bro.
I hear you. There's a few
I can run real far and real fast, but that's about it.
Heck yeah.
But you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Jacob, thank you so much for coming on. It's much appreciated. Where can the audience find you? Because what I'm going to do on YouTube here is put your handle or wherever the case may be down in the description.
Sure. Right now, you could find me on all platforms. I mean, Instagram, Threads, X, JAKUB_SIZZ for all of them. You can find me on LinkedIn too. Just JAKUB Szylak, SZYLAK. Right now, I'm most active on Instagram. Working on getting more content out everywhere else and getting something else launched here in the near future. So if you follow me, you'll be staying up to date.
That sounds good. Thank you so much, man. It's great to meet you.
This is great.
Take care.